All right, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Whoops, let me get to the right slide. Hang on. This is my first keynote presentation. I love this thing. All right, welcome to the webinar. And tonight we're going to be talking about the 3 transformations that you must make in order to build your 6-figure speaking and coaching business over the next 12 months. And this is huge. First of all, though, before we get going, yeah, guaranteed. Before we get going, I want to say congratulations for attending this webinar. And I say congratulations because I really get excited when people just show up and really go for it when it comes to their purpose and making a difference and creating a change and shift in the world. And I really appreciate all of you that have created the time and the space in your calendar. Some of you, in the US, we got Memorial Day here. So I just want to say congratulations, and I appreciate you for going after your purpose like that, because that's really what it's about. And especially all of you, all of you are in Jack's work, so we don't have to talk anymore about finding your purpose. And so we're gonna have a blast tonight. What I want you to do is write down any questions as you have them, and you can type them into the question button or to the question chat box if you want. I'm not sure that I'll be answering any questions as we go along like that, but you can go ahead and type them in. But definitely at least write them down, and I'll be getting to them. We'll do a little Q&A session towards the end here, so I'll definitely answer them in the Q&A session. And let's get right into the content, because here's what I should have called this webinar. This is what I could have called it. I should have called it, how to cut through all the chaos, confusion, and clutter with a just do this approach to building and marketing your transformational coaching and speaking business the right way, getting your message in motion now, and attracting paid clients fast. I think that's what, pretty much we're all after. We're all after, how do you create a full-time business with this? I think we all have a purpose and a dream and a desire to go out there and help people, but there are a lot of sticking points in this game that I've just learned over the last, 7 years, and even more in the last couple of years as I've been talking to people about building a business, that I want to share with you tonight, because I think the way we do it a lot of the times, we just do it backwards. We don't do it the right way. We do it the intuitive way, but we don't do it the right way. So here's what we're going to do tonight. What this call will do for you is, over the next little bit of time that we have together, we're going to be talking about, some of the content that comes directly from some of my highest level trainings, so that you can build a lucrative, a sustainable, and a scalable coaching business, even if you're starting from scratch. And I've been thinking so much about this over the last several months, really, that, a lot of people talk about building a 6-figure business. And, in reality, that 6-figure mark, in my experience, is not all what it's cracked up to be. I think so many people, want to do 6 figures, but for many of us, 6 figures isn't enough. And for others, $30,000, $40,000 would be fantastic. So I don't want you to get hung up on that finish line called 6 figures. But what's important is that you have a fulfilling business. You can fulfill your purpose through this business, but you can have all of your desires and dreams and, tangible wants and whatever it is that you want to experience while you're here on this planet too, that you can have those things fulfilled as well. And in order to get to that level for most of us, we have to have something that's scalable. One of the things that I think a lot of people make a huge mistake around is they just get on this treadmill. And I did this for years and years and years. They just get on this treadmill, even if they learn how to make money and to create profits, they get on this treadmill and they just stay on the treadmill, and they can never get off. When I was making a lot of money, especially early on in my career, first of all, it was awesome because I had big dollar amounts coming in that I never had before. But what I didn't realize until probably a couple of years later, honestly, is that I wasn't creating freedom. I was creating money, but I was just creating a relatively high paying job. And if we don't have something that's scalable, if we don't have something that's leveraged, then we're not going to be able to fulfill those bigger goals and those bigger dreams that most of us have. And that, like I said, that's a thing that if you just go intuitively, you're probably going to miss. And then we also want to talk about sustainability. And that kind of goes along the lines with scalable too. But sustainability, what are the foundational pieces that you've got to put into your business? I think a lot of people, especially with kind of a short term mentality or with the short term approach, a lot of people start creating something and then they realize at some point in time, usually it's too late, that, this is not sustainable, right? It might be high paying, but it's not sustainable. And then obviously, we started with lucrative, and it's absolutely possible. And you know what? Actually, relatively simple. I'm not going to say it's easy because it does take work, it takes determination, it takes perseverance, but it is simple to build a business if you do it the right way. And so, obviously, that's what I want to share with you today. What have I learned along my journey that can help you shorten your learning curve and so forth? And just a quick note about partnering together. Towards the end of the call, I'll let you know how we can partner and maybe work together if this is resonating with you. And if not, I want to give you tons of content that you can, that will be really valuable for you on the call. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to take a small group of Canfield Train the Trainer participants and graduates, and we're going to create a little program side by side so that I can give you, a lot of the marketing technology and training tools, and that you can implement and test them really and help me make them better. And it's all specifically designed for coaches and specifically designed for trainers. And I really think it's going to absolutely change the game for you, for any of you those that are interested, but I'll tell you more about that later. And let's just kind of lay the groundwork here, I guess, just so you get a little bit of more knowledge about me. I know, I'm familiar with pretty much all of you, and all of you are pretty much familiar with me, but I just want to give you a little bit more on, my mentality and the way I work and really what I stand for. And you're in the right place tonight if you know that you want to help people and you have a burning desire to get your message out into the world. And I know all of you in the Train the Trainer program do have that, right? So, we can pretty much check that off the list. And this is really for you if you want to be a full-time speaker and a coach. You might be in the position where you want to start that business, but you haven't taken the first step, or maybe you are a full-time speaker and coach, or maybe even half-time right now, part-time, but you're not making more than $100,000. And again, like I was saying earlier, you can sort of replace that with whatever dollar amount would be really super significant and completely life changing to you. And then the third thing is you've got to be serious about success, and you've got to be willing to do what it takes to intentionally build a lucrative business. And I think a lot of people out there, I don't think this is the case with pretty much any of you on the line, but I think a lot of people out there are wishing, or they're trying to play the lottery, and they have what I call unless motivation, right? They're really motivated to make it happen, whatever their goals are, unless they have to do too much, unless they have to struggle a little bit, unless they have to figure stuff out, unless they have to invest their time or their energy or their money or any of that sort of stuff. Unless they have to do anything, then they're really motivated. Now, again, I don't think any of you are on the line, or any of you that are on the line are in that position, but it's really important, just as a reminder, that you've got to be signed up for the long haul. You've got to be in it for as long as it's going to take. And my experience is, and this goes for anything in life, but definitely with the coaching business, because there are a lot of things that we have to learn. My experience is, when you're in it for the long haul, when you say, you know what, I'm planting my flag and I'm going to do this no matter how long it takes, my experience is the universe conspires in your favor tenfold, and you get what you're trying to get, and you start giving more of what you have to give at probably 10 times the pace and 10 times the magnitude than if you have that short-term mentality. So this might be something that we have to remind ourselves, especially when things get going poorly, right? And I haven't met a single person that doesn't come up against those downs, especially in a business like this with all kinds of new stuff to learn in technology and stepping out beyond our comfort zone and so forth. So I imagine that all of you are in the right place because you're all going to check those off your list. Now, you're in the wrong place if you just want more information. That's probably going to be like a theme that's going to keep coming up for this webinar, is that so often we get stuck on information. And a lot of times this is related to our limiting beliefs. Sometimes this is just related to uncertainty. We don't know how to implement this information. But I think so many people are stuck in this mode of, I need more information, or they feel like, or something's missing, with what they just got, with what they read, with what they bought, with what they experienced at a seminar or coaching program or whatever. And so we have this cycle, this information cycle. And it's very, very dangerous, but it's actually really safe and comfortable, right? And I'm sure many of you have experienced this, where you go to a seminar or you read a book or you do a coaching program, and while you're learning, it's fulfilling, it's fun, it's intriguing, and it kind of fills our cup. But the challenge with that is nothing really moves the needle while we're learning. And so we've got to make sure that we don't get just stuck learning information. I mean, it's really super important that we're always a student first and continually be a student. However, there are times when we've got to trade in the student hat and actually start implementing. So make sure that you're just not stuck in that information rut, right? The information treadmill. This is also the wrong place for you if you're not ready to take action and implement. I just talked about that. And if you're not willing to invest the necessary time, energy, money into building a successful business that really lasts a long, long, long time and can help a hell of a lot of people. And if you have that mentality and you're in it, then let's go. Let's get to work. And this is how this whole thing is really going to work. I've designed or really budgeted for about, I don't know, 75 to 90 minutes for this webinar, and some of that's going to be Q&A. And I want you to type in your questions in the chat box as you think of them. And if it's pertinent enough, and if I can figure out the technology of how to stop what I'm doing and answering the questions, which I think I can, then I'll answer them as they come up if it's important to the content. If not, then we can just talk about them during the Q&A action or the Q&A session. And what I want you to do is write down action items. I don't want you to write down any of that information stuff that's just going to keep you on that treadmill. Don't write down just like cute quotes or neat little things that's going to keep you on the treadmill. I want you to write down stuff that you're going to do. I want you to write down actionable items, right? If you have an idea about a product that you can create, or you have an idea about somebody that you can help, somebody that you can serve, something that you can do to get your business more in motion, write that stuff down and implement that stuff. So hopefully you're going to come off this webinar with a bunch of ideas that you can implement right away. And those are the things that are going to move the needle for you, not just, like cute quotes and stuff like that. We're going to be covering as much as I possibly can. And I'm going to go fast. I'm going to talk fast, and I'm going to get through as much as I can and deliver as much valuable content as I can during this time. You might have some trouble catching it all. So what I want you to do is definitely stick around to the end, because what I'll do is show you how to get a recording of this, and not just an MP3 recording, but we should be able to get you a video recording as well, so that you can just go back and catch anything you might have missed the first time. But I'm also going to give you a really invaluable resource checklist that I just put together literally this past week on things that you need to know in terms of, pulling all of your message together from a technology standpoint. Things like, email systems and shopping carts and video cameras, what to use, what not to use, audio recording devices, microphones, conference call companies, lighting packages, what software you can use to edit some of the stuff. I've found that a lot of these technological things are sticking points for people. And so what I just put together is a resource checklist that says basically like, just go do this, okay? Just go get this microphone. Just go get this camera. If you're on this budget, this camera will do it for you. If you want to play a little bit, bigger game and you have more money to spare or whatever, then go get this one. And so I want this resource to be incredibly valuable for you to erase, some of the main sticking points that I see out there. So stick around. All right, this might be the emotional part of the webinar. I want to tell you a little bit more about me. Some of you know my story and some of you don't. This is my family, and I am a father and husband first, and I'm a speaker and coach and everything else second. And I know that many of you share those similar kind of family values. And I just think, we're here on this planet one time. we are here to make a difference in the lives that are closest to us, especially the ones that we created, like those two little folks right there in the middle that look shockingly like me, from what a lot of people say. And and I just think it's really important that we always hold true to our values. And I don't know if I'll get into this, so I'll just tell it to you now while it's on my mind. But in 2007, I made a heck of a lot of money. But what happened was I wasn't happy and I wasn't fulfilled because, well, I mean, I was super fulfilled on one level. It was a new game to me. I was succeeding at an all-time level. But you know what? I wasn't at home as much as I wanted to be. And my relationship with my daughter started to get strained. And she was about 6 years old. And I had learned just through the course of my work how important it is to have a really good connection, especially with a father and daughter. And so when that relationship started to get strained and she didn't want me to come into her bedroom and kiss her goodnight and stuff like that, I mean, it brought me to my knees. And it was a very, very painful, very valuable lesson that we learned. And another thing that happened, um, I don't have this on a slide. It's just coming to me as I'm talking, and many of you might not even know this story. In May of 2007, my son, who was a year and a half old at the time, climbed up to the second story of our house on the inside. Climbed up the stairs and was on the balcony or railing. I don't know what you really call it, but it was on the railing of the second story of our house, and he yelled out to my wife Sybil, who happened to be down below in the toy room, and so she could see him. And he got really excited and he fell over the railing, and he free fell about 15 feet, and there were hardwood floors at the bottom. And my wife, ran through the toy room with tons of toys and made a right turn and up a step and made a 90-degree left turn and just barely caught his body before it hit on the hardwood floor. But he was spinning and twisting in the air, so his head still hit the ground, and he had bilateral skull fractures. And when I came out, he was totally silent, and I looked at him, and it looked like he had died right in front of me. And this period of time only took probably a second, but in that second, I thought I lost my son. I just had so many thoughts and emotions going through my head, and he ended up being okay. That's him right there in the picture with the big smile. He ended up being fine, but we learned the lesson of a tragedy without the tragedy. Thank God. And that was just another lesson of us kind of pulling away from our family values, chasing success. And so we made a lot of shifts in our business. And that's one of the things that I always tell everybody: do not sacrifice your family values, do not sacrifice your health, don't sacrifice what you believe in, don't sacrifice anything to chase success, because that is a lose-lose proposition. Even if you get successful, but you sacrifice in the process, I promise you it will not be worth it. Okay, so back to me. I have this amazing family. Sybil's my wife up there in the top right, McKenna and Exley. Just oh man, I mean, I could go on and on. But let me go back a little bit and tell you really, when my life completely changed lanes. On December 17th of 1986, I was 13 years old, and I was riding my bike to school, and a lady coming up from the right-hand side had run through a stop sign rather, and she was about to hit me. And in order to swerve away from her, I turned left. But I turned left into the slow lane. And before I even turned my head around to see what was about to happen, my next door neighbor, doing about 50 miles an hour, just plowed right through me. And I just went, I mean, he went right through my leg. I flipped over the car, blacked out, came to. I had cars coming at me. And, um, I'll fast forward through some of the details. But the bottom line is I should have died that day. Like, if you take a look at the details of the accident, there's really no reason I should have survived that. Um, now I believe that I just simply wasn't done. But it totally changed everything for me. I started to look at life through a mortal set of lenses as a 13-year-old, which is a huge blessing for me. And ever since that time, I really lived life believing that we only get one shot. And, if we only have one shot on this planet, then we are here to make a difference. We are here to make an impact, right? We can't afford to struggle, to settle, to live a life of less. That's just what I came to in that moment as a 13-year-old. So for the last what has it been, 25 years of my life, I've had this one shot mentality. And I started to study self, development and personal growth. And I started studying goal setting at a really young age. I stopped hanging around certain people. And I just had this awareness that if I only have one shot and there's a choice between living a life of excellence and living a life of regret, then I'm going to choose excellence. But even though I had made that choice, I really struggled for a long, long time. But that's like the framework, the foundation that I was given in that moment. And ever since that time, I've been on a mission to empower people to live lives full of passion. And I think that's something that's really missing on the planet today is passion. Whether it's passion in relationships, passion in your job, passion in your work, just passion about being alive. I think that's missing. And also purpose. I think people, a lot of people have a vague idea of why they're here, but most people don't have a crystal clear idea of what are they here to do. And then finally, presence. Being present with yourself, being present with your family, being present with your friends, being present in the moment. I think that's one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves and one of the best gifts that we can give other people. And what I did is I decided that I wanted to share this message, and I'll tell a little bit more details in a little bit. But I decided I want to share this message, and I just went out and I started coaching. And I would say the best like character trait that I have is I just get in motion. Like I have an idea and I'll implement it later tonight, usually, right? And now, not all the time, and I've kind of gone away from that as my business has progressed. But especially in the beginning, I just went for it, and I had an idea, and I saw the possibilities, and I went. And because I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I got in motion, we did really well. And I actually didn't know this until a couple months ago. I was doing a video and I realized that we had actually crossed $1 million. I truly didn't know that because I've completely detached from money. Money doesn't have any tangible, like surface level meaning to me. So I didn't even know. But it's pretty cool to realize, wow, back in 2006, I decided to go for it. And, we've crossed that 7-figure mark, like 2 commas. That was really neat. But at the same time, it didn't mean anything to me like I thought it was going to mean, right? So that's in a nutshell, where I'm at, where I came from. And to tell you a little bit more about me, and some of you know this already, um, this is my mom, and she passed away about 3 weeks ago. And so this is really fresh for me. Um, my relationship with my mom really went through a lot of healing over the last couple of years, and it's all because of the work I've done with Jack and the work that I've continued to, to do with other people on myself, and the work with my wife who does all this stuff with me as well. And my mom really taught me a lot about life, about persevering and about being tough. I didn't learn a lot about what she had gone through until a few years back, and she told me like her life story basically, and what happened to her when she was young, and the abuse that she suffered. And she had 7 miscarriages between my sister and I, and some of these details I kind of knew, but I didn't really know what she actually went through. And so I think I got a lot of my just determination and strength from my mom. And on the right there's a picture of her with my daughter, and God, she just loved those kids, and those kids loved her. They called her Paint Grandma. And it was really tough to watch them say goodbye to her about 3 weeks ago. But that's fresh for me, and it's yet again caused me to really take a look at my life. What am I doing? How am I living my life? Am I on purpose? Am I giving it my all? And I think any of you that have experienced death of a parent or a close loved one, I would imagine you've gone through the same thing. I mean, it just causes you to sort of take a look at what are we doing. Am I on purpose, and am I on track? And so that's what's going on for me right now. And so currently, I'm just like, I'm tapped into an energy source that is so raw and so full of passion and like just lit up. And a lot of that has to do with, my journey with my mom recently. And then my dad, um, some of you might know this story too. My dad passed away about 14 months ago, 15 months ago, something like that, in February of last year. And he actually lived the last 80 days of his life with us. And um, I was trying not to look at the slides because I knew as soon as I looked at the slides, um, I might start crying. My dad was my best friend, and he was my biggest fan, and I was never mad at that guy. And he just taught me so much about just being happy, about loving people and the simplicity of life, right? I mean, my dad was loved by everybody who spent more than 30 seconds with him. I didn't know anybody who didn't like him except my mom. They divorced like 25 years ago. But aside from her, I don't know anybody that didn't like him. And it was just because he was such a simple, caring, giving guy. And, my message is profoundly impacted by him. And we had the experience of him living his last 80 days with us in a hospital bed in our front room as he was dying from pancreatic cancer. And I had this incredible blessing of being able to have a final conversation with him when we knew it was time. We knew he was just maybe days, if not hours away from passing. And, I was able to take some of the pain patches off of him and have this just I mean, beautiful is the only word that comes close to explaining it. Conversation with him, and it was a relatively short one, and I was able to tell him how I felt about him and ask him if he was complete and ask him if he needed to see anybody or any of that stuff. And he said, "You know what? I'm totally complete, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see my mom. I'm ready to see my sister. I'm ready to see my dad." And it was really fulfilling and gave me a lot of closure. And then I asked him, Dad, when you're gone, how can I live your legacy? And and he said again with just simplicity, he answered immediately, like he's been waiting for me to ask this question, for 38 years. And he just kind of shakes his head like it was a silly question. And he goes, Shawnee, just be who you can be, do what you can do, and live a good life. And those words like rocked my soul. I mean, they just absolutely changed everything for me. I felt like he had given me a torch that I needed to pass on, that I needed to, run with. And so that's been the core of my message. And I think the more that I learn about life, the simpler it gets. And my dad gave me this blessing of just be who you can be, do what you can do, and live a good life. And partly as a tribute to him and partly as a reminder to me, I carry that with me everywhere. That's a license plate that I got about a year ago that's on my car. And that's, I mean, at the core of everything that I do, that's what it's about. It's just about helping people enjoy this journey, helping people love themselves, helping people like themselves. And I know that you have a similar passion. And I know each and every one of you have been touched by a Jack Canfield experience or Tony Robbins or whoever, it doesn't matter who, but you've been touched by this personal development industry somehow. That's why you've showed up and that's why you've signed up to play this game. And I honor that. I truly do honor that. And what we have to do is make sure that you can create a lifestyle around this, that you can create a business around this. At the end of the day, making money is not what it's about. But if you don't figure out how to make money, if you don't put together the business foundations that are going to give you the lucrative business, but the sustainable business, and more important, the scalable business, if you don't create those system foundations, then your message cannot last, right? And so that's what I get passionate about now. 2 years ago, I was not passionate whatsoever about teaching coaches. I really just didn't care. I was doing my thing. I was helping the people that I believe I was here to help. I was, doing my thing kind of quietly, and I was loving it. And it was only recently that I got really passionate that these dots have been connected to me for me, that whatever your message is, whatever the simplicity of your message is, we have to Get that message out to the world in a big, big way. And you owe it to the people that you're here to serve, and you owe it to your creator to do whatever you've got to do to get that message out, because there are people waiting for you to help. There are people waiting to be served, and some of them will not be served by anybody other than you. So we talk about marketing, and we talk about creating a six-figure business, and we talk about, the lucrative lifestyle. We talk about all that stuff, but it's only to fund your mission. That's what it's about. If you make all that money and you sacrifice things and you don't create service and you don't make an impact and you don't leave a mark on this world, I don't know about your beliefs, but my belief is you missed the boat. So that's what we're here to do. Now, why am I here today? I'm here today to honor you. I'm here today because I know you're a person of service, and I know you have a goal to help as many people as you possibly can in your journey. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the Train the Trainer program. You wouldn't have gone to any of Jack's seminars. You wouldn't have picked up the very first help book, and you wouldn't have taken the steps that you've taken so far, right? And I honor that. And my purpose is to really hold a space for you with anything that I can give, any knowledge that I can share, so that you can bet on yourself, right? So that you can get into that ring and get into a good fight for every single one of your goals and dreams and make this happen. Each and every one of you can do this. I believe with every ounce of my soul that you can do this if you learn the rules and if you create a simple game plan that's designed to help you win. So I know you're here to play a big game, but most people that enter this space, because of the way they do things, because of their lack of awareness, because of their choices, because of their fears, because of anything the internal or the external game, they're playing a game and the odds are stacked against them. So I want to turn that around, and I got to be honest with you, I'm on a mission. And here's my mission that came clear to me just recently, I'd say in the last couple months. I'm on a mission to do nothing less but start a revolution in this coaching world, because I think people show up in this world with a lot of ambition, with a lot of raw desire, with a lot of determination, but most of them exit disappointed, right? And that's a problem because of everything I was saying a few minutes ago, because each and every one of us who've had some kind of life-altering, game-changing, needle-moving, situation, transformation in our lives, we are obligated to pass that on. So this coaching industry needs more people who can turn around and help those that are behind us in this journey. We have an obligation to do that. And what I've noticed is that there's a problem in this industry, right? And so what I want to do is I want to create, here's my new goal. I don't think I've ever said this publicly. I want to create 1,000 full-time, highly successful coaches on this planet who are helping other people, who are making whatever money they need to be happy and fulfilled and to fund their message and keep it in motion, but who are changing the game on this planet, who are not just creating a ripple of change, but, I want to create a tsunami of empowerment on this planet. And I think it's up to us as coaches to do that. Now, whether that means you're going to be a private one-on-one coach or group coaching, or you're just going to coach people from the stage, it could look different for each and every one of us. But if we've been transformed on some level, we have an obligation to turn around and serve others. And in that moment that we decide we're going to serve, we have just become a coach. We've become a mentor. We've become a leader. And the world needs more people to play this game at a high, high level. So that's my intention. My intention is to create at least 1,000 full-time, highly successful coaches over the next 5 years. Wow, I've never said that out loud, and I've never put a time frame on it. I just got goosebumps just speaking that out loud. But there's a problem in our industry. Now, before I get to the problem, I want to tell you a little bit more about how I got my start in this particular game, right? In January 2005 is really where I got my very first start. And many of you know James Malinchak. In January of 05, I went to his college speaking success boot camp. I think it was in January. It was sometime early in 2005. And at that point, I knew that I wanted to be a speaker. I didn't know exactly what to do. I met a guy who was a speaker and became a mentor and one of my best friends on the planet now. And I said, what can I do? Where can I go to learn this game? And the first person that he sent me to was James. So I went to James's boot camp. College speaking success, and it did incredible things for me. It opened my eyes up. It gave me some game plans, and it got me in motion. I started to move a little bit, and some of my dreams started to become real. And I stayed on that path. Later on that year, in August of 2005, I went to Lake Las Vegas, and that was my first Jack Canfield experience. Now, James is the one that introduced me to Jack. I didn't know about Jack Canfield at all until I heard him on a conference call with James. And I went to Breakthrough to Success. Many of you have gone there. And that's where I found my purpose. And that's where I realized, you know what? I have an obligation to fulfill this purpose. But at that time, I was still stuck. I had all kinds of obstacles. I had all kinds of fears. And so I ended up in a business seminar in November of 2005 called the Ultimate Business Breakthrough by a lady named Melanie Benson Strick. And it was at that event that I had the most transformational experience I'd ever had in a workshop. And it was just a goal writing exercise. We were supposed to do 90-day goals. And I just came face to face with my fears and limiting beliefs. And I had a meltdown. I had an emotional breakdown. Luckily for me, there was a guy in the room, a co-facilitator, that walked me outside into this crowded lobby, and he did this process, with me, guided visualization, about 15 to 20 minutes. I dropped my biggest limiting belief, which at that point was like, I'm not enough. I'll never succeed. I'm not good enough. And I didn't have any idea what a limiting belief was at that time. And this guy totally changed the game for me. When I opened my eyes after that visualization, everything was different. It was like I took a bunch of like dark sunglasses off. And I know many of you have had similar experiences. And over the next couple months, people were noticing shifts in me, and I didn't know what was happening, but I was just on fire. I was in motion. I was making things happen. I felt better, started to lose weight, like all kinds of great stuff was happening to me. And people wanted me to do that to them. They're like, whatever you did, man, do it to me. And so I ended up writing this guy back a letter or an email a few months later. And I go, Matt, dude, what the hell was that? And was that legal? And quite frankly, I don't care if it wasn't. You need to tell me what that was. And basically what he said is, it's called NLP. It's a, mindset thing. Go over here. This guy's certifying people. And I just went. He could have told me anything and I would have followed him. I just followed him. I went and got certified in NLP. Many of you are familiar with that, neuro-linguistic programming. It's really like the owner's manual of the brain, how to get rid of limiting beliefs, how to change like identities that don't serve you, how to take a look at our motivation strategies. Just it really truly is, understanding the engine that runs the car, right? And so it was incredibly profound for me. And later that year in 2006, I decided that I was going to do this event. I was going to call it I did. It was a Maximize Your Athletic Ability. It was for high school and college athletes. I wanted to teach them how to set goals and how to visualize and all that stuff. And so we did this event, and there was like 100 people in the room, which was my goal, which is cool. I manifested these goals exactly. And in that event, there were some Mary Kay ladies, and they came up to me and asked if I could teach them or if I could train some of this stuff to them too. And at first I was like, absolutely not. There's no way, because I don't have any interest in, training Mary Kay ladies. But after a few months, I ended up going over there, and then I really started going. I kind of fell into this world of Mary Kay in the middle of 2006. And then I really started going. I got clear on what I wanted to. I started to get traction. And then I made the decision in January of 2007. I made the good decision. It was actually a great decision, right? But I made the decision that I'm going to go for it. I'm going to start doing my own events. Up until that time, I wasn't doing seminars. I'm going to start doing my own events. I'm going to start offering coaching packages, and I'm going to go for it, right? And that's when so much really shifted for us in 2007. We made a ton of money in 2007. And then at the end of 2007, I looked back and, well, that was pretty cool. I'm going to change the game here. And I made a horrific decision. And in 2008, our business started to tank. And it kept going in 2009. We ended up filing bankruptcy. And those 2 years are very painful for me. But it was in those 2 years that I learned everything that I now know that can help anybody else in this game. Because what I've found out is that we don't learn a whole lot when we're successful. Our true learning happens through adversity. So it was in those 2 years that I learned the most about my business. Now, most coaches don't have the fortune of having a good year like we did that will sustain them through a couple bad years. Most people start their business making a lot of the mistakes that I made in 2008 and 2009, and because they don't have the foundation that we had in 2007, they just, they don't have the experience, they don't have the belief, and then they end up quitting. And so I feel like I have this blessed experience of doing it really, really well and doing it incredibly poorly, so that I can, put those strategies together and kind of map them on top of each other and say, hey, don't do this, right? Don't do that. That will cause disaster, and do this instead. And so that has become, my mission. And as I said earlier, I didn't really have any desire to be any kind of coach's coach or anything like that until I got into Train the Trainer program, which is like 2.5 years ago is when he started his Train the Trainer program, and I was an assistant. And I just started talking to people about what they want to do and their experiences of, going after their, trying to build their business and so forth. And just in the experience of talking to people about business, I got really, really excited and angry and just engaged about what's needed out there. A lot of really, really talented people have the desire, have the skills, but they just weren't able to make it work. And so it was in those conversations within the trainer program that I realized that I actually have something pretty valuable to share. I've got a story that I was taking for granted, but I've got a story and I've got experiences that can be very, very valuable for people, especially people starting out. And that's who I really, truly want to help, is people starting out in this game. Before I do this, you know what? I see that there's a bunch of questions here. So I'm going to um, change the screen here. Just take a look at a couple of the questions. And okay, I don't see anything that I think I need um, to answer right now. So, okay, cool. So it looks like, yeah, people were talking about like the echo, and awesome. All right. Somebody said, I'm in, make it 999. I think that was referring to the 1,000 coaches. That's awesome. Okay. So what I want to show you is I want to take you, I'm going to take you into my shopping cart here for a second. And, this is in no way like coming from a place of ego or anything like that, but I want to show you sort of my journey from a teaching perspective. So what I'm going to do is change. You can't really see the screen very well right now, but in a second I'll blow it up. I'm going to change my reports here to, this is really cool. I learned that you can blow up your screen like this. It's really awesome. So hopefully you can see that a little bit better now. So what this is showing is basically our sales by date. And I'm going to click on monthly. So these are the sales by date when I started this business. Let's see if I can blow it up just a little bit more. So hopefully you can see that. You might have to enlarge it on your screen a little bit. But these are the sales by date. And you can see in June of 2006 is where I decided that I'm going to get into the Mary Kay world and I'm going to make a go for it. And this is one of the first, like, most significant shifts I made was in October of 2006. And that's where I got online. That's where I started to do stuff with websites, and I started to learn how to do sales pages and stuff like that. And you can see that my income before that was anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000. Then I had a $6,000 month and a $5,000, and then another $6,000. And then it was February of 2007 that stuff really started to change. And so I went from 6,000. I had my first 5-figure month, and then 16,000, and then April hit, and in January of 2007 is where I really started to change the game. I told you I started to do my own seminars. I started to create better coaching packages, and I really kicked it into high gear. And then, as you can see, from that point forward, really from February on to December, I mean, we were doing really, really well. September, I made more money, almost 50K, than I'd made in an entire year, any time in my whole life. And I broke my attachment to money, by the way, in March. I can remember exactly when it was. And that's when, from 16 to 30, and then we sustained mid 20s from that point forward. And so I can honestly, I can look at these numbers and I don't even get really excited about them. I mean, to me, these are just numbers. I don't want to poo-poo them at the same time, but I want to just show you this because when I decided to change this game and really play at a higher level, I mean, we did some pretty significant stuff. So for the first 18 months in business, we did over $300,000, and really in the last 11 months of this screen is where we kicked it in. And then 2008, let me show you what happened in 2008. So 2008 is where I had this, awesome idea that I want to go make $1 million, and I changed my values and I changed my marketing schemes, and we went from, 300, I think like 20 or 30,000 the year before, to 204. And I'm definitely not like, coughing or scoffing at 200K, but 200K coming down from 340 is a problem, right? And I took a huge hit. I probably lost over $100,000 that year because I didn't have a lot of these systems that I'm talking to you about. My business wasn't scalable, it wasn't sustainable, and then that just continued. And in 2009 is when we kind of hit, bottom. Now, bottom for us was still, it's still a pretty good year. We did probably over 140,000 if you include like offline stuff. But again, that's like less than half of what we did the first year. And it was in those 2 years that we just absolutely tanked. And those are when I learned so many of my my lessons. And then thankfully in 2010, we started to right the ship, got closer to almost 200,000 that year. That was good. And in 2009 is when we filed bankruptcy. And it was such a blessing in hindsight because we learned how to build a business with no credit. We learned how to, operate on cash only. And we made a lot less money. We made over $150,000 less in 2010, but we put 10 times more of it in our bank. We were much more healthy as a company. So bankruptcy for us taught us the lessons that we needed to learn to get us off of this credit treadmill and to just, learn what we had to learn about money, about business, about systems, about employees, about so many of these things that I didn't know in the first few years. And I was just making a lot of money, but I was a total, financial idiot and business idiot. So that's when we learned a lot. Kind of came back in 2010, 2011. We did even more. I didn't even know how much you did last year. So we did, close to $250,000, way healthier than even when we did $100,000 more than that in 2007. So anyway, I wanted to show you that not from an ego standpoint, but just to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline of what's, what we've done in our business and so forth. So let me get back to the slides here. Let's see, play. Okay, so here's the problem. The problem is that the vast majority of coaches and trainers get into this game to change lives. But most of them, and this is just my number, there's not a study on this that I know of, but I'd say most of them, vast majority of them, probably 95%, never get their business going. And when that happens, their message dies inside of them. Their seekers don't get help. The seekers are the people that are out there seeking your message, right? And they end up quitting. And most of them just kind of lick their wounds like I did in 2009. I mean, I'll tell you what, you guys, in 2009, if somebody would have offered me a $100,000 job where I could pay my bills, I would have quit. I have to believe that I would have came back. But I was at the point that I was so frustrated. I was so tired of it not working. I was just banging my head up against the wall. I had a family to feed. I had like these huge identity conflicts going on inside of me. My ego had taken a huge hit. I would have quit. I would have jumped ship if I could have. At that point, see, I had built a business that had over $200,000 a year in expenses. So I needed to make 200 grand just to break even at that point. But I would have unplugged from everything that I could have. I would have fired everybody that I could. And I would have just quietly gone off into the sunset and quit if it would have been available. Thank God it wasn't available. And it wasn't because I didn't try looking. I did try looking. But that's the position I was in. And so I know what it's like to be frustrated. I know what it's like to be ready to push that eject button. And don't you dare do that, because you have this mission that I'm calling you forth on. And you just need to learn the game. You just need to learn how to put it all together so that you don't quit and you don't lick your wounds and you don't retreat. Now, let's talk about some of those reasons for failure. What causes a lot of coaches to get there? And I think, first of all, this is going to go for all of you in the train the trainer crowd. First of all, most of the people who are drawn to this world of coaching are absolutely repelled by the idea of marketing, right? It just feels yucky. It feels like taking, it doesn't feel like giving. And the other thing is that most of us, from a business standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, most coaches are just trying to reinvent the wheel by doing things on their own. And that's never a strategy that's going to work well for you. And all these things are totally separate. There's no rhyme or reason or sequence to this. Another thing that happens is people get stuck in what I talked about earlier, just collecting information. They don't implement because they don't have systems. They don't have technology. They don't know what to do with their shopping cart. They don't know how to take money. They don't know how to create products. They don't know how to do a lot of the technological stuff. And that's a big sticking point for people. And some of these technology things, like it took me 2 days with another business partner of mine full time to learn how to create a simple blog and to put video on it. 2 days to figure that thing out. I thought it was going to be simple. Most people don't have 2 days of full-time effort with a second person working to figure this stuff out. And that was just one piece in the puzzle, right? Just one thing that was sticking, in the bigger machine. So most people get stuck collecting information and never really implementing those things. Another thing that happens is just raw uncertainty. People simply don't know. They don't know what the next step is. They don't know who to model. And what people do is they tend to model who they see. They tend to model Tony Robbins or Jack Canfield. If you model the people that are visible out there now, that is a huge, huge mistake. Because what you'll probably be doing is you'll probably be signing up for like middle school or high school curriculum before you've graduated from elementary school, before you've done some of the foundational things. It's dangerous to try to model what some of the people are doing out there right now, what's visible to you. I've become so passionate about that. And it's one of the things that I spend most of my time on with new coaches is let's create foundation first. That should be like a tagline of mine, foundation first, okay? Another thing is just simple overwhelm. I was talking to somebody just the other day. She's on the line right now. She was like, man, I just wish, it would be nice to have to not have to join all of these individual programs out there. There's so much that we can learn about internet marketing, about social media, about creating programs, about sales, about all that stuff. But one of the problems in the coaching industry is that we generally have to go external to get all of that stuff and then bring it back and then sort of translate it and implement it into our business. So one of my, missions or one of my things that I am determined to do inside of this mission that I share with all of you is to create a resource to where you don't have to go outside of the coaching industry to get all this stuff. I've gone to pretty much all of that stuff anyway, and we've implemented it into the business. So I want to do some of the translation for you. I want to say, okay, you're selling coaching. Like one of the things that I was really challenged by is I would go learn sales, but I would learn sales from a salesperson who's selling how to sell to other people in sales. And then what I would do is I would go back home and I would go, okay, that's cool, but I don't sell a how to sell program. I sell coaching. So how do I do that with a coaching business? All right, I get it. I learn internet marketers from internet marketing from an internet marketer who's selling how to network or how to market on the internet to other internet marketers. And then I have to take these concepts and I need to internet market my coaching business. And if there's any kind of sticking point, like, I don't see how that translates into this, most people will quit. And if you can't implement the information is useless, right? So that's what I want to provide is a resource where we got one place that can implement from a coaching perspective, that can implement all of this really high level, really important, really powerful information. But there's just too much translation that's needed of how do you do this in the coaching world, okay? So that's my mission. I don't care about teaching authors. I don't care about teaching like people who are just going to go get paid to speak. That's not what I've done in my business, so I don't have an affinity there. I don't care about teaching people how to, how to market online. What I care about is coaches. That's what I'm passionate about. I care about teaching coaches how to do all these things to sell your coaching. Now, speaking is going to be a part of your coaching. Doing seminars is going to be a part of your coaching, but all of this is under the coaching umbrella. And then the last thing that I've identified here, and these are by far not the only 6, but some of the most important 6 that I see are just simple inner game obstacles. You guys, you can have all of the things lined up in front of you. You can be told how to market. You can be told how to do a seminar. You can be told how to put your programs together. But if you have a fear internally, if you have a doubt that you don't know if your message is ready for the world, if your world is ready for the message, or if you don't know if you can make the transition from a full-time job to full-time, messenger to full-time coach and speaker and trainer, if you don't know how to do this, if you don't know how to put any of these things together, but most importantly, if you don't have the rock solid belief in yourself, then all of this information is going to fall by the wayside. So one of the things that I'm very passionate about, because this is what I've been doing for the last 7 years, what I'm really passionate about is helping people clear the inner game obstacles, because that ultimately is what's going to stop most of us. It's not going to be the external game. It's going to be the internal game that's going to stop most of us. So one of the things that I think makes me different is I've been doing that for 7 years of my life, and I want to bring that to the coaching information game. So I'm going to teach, all this information, but I also want to teach you what absolutely has to be cleared up and cleaned up internally for you if you're stuck on any of this inner game stuff. So those are the problems. And I think you have 2 choices, right? 2 choices. One choice is that you can try to reinvent the wheel from scratch. You can spend all kinds of time and energy and money, going through all these information products and programs and courses, and have to translate them into a coaching business and play a game that, by all statistics and by all accounts is really is kind of like stacked against your favor. And if you do make it in this game, doing it on your own, you're going to take longer than you should. But what I fully suggest for you, whether you decide to play with me or not, what I fully suggest for you is that you plug into a game that has already been won for you, so that you don't have to do the fighting, you don't have to do the research, you don't have to learn the lessons, because they've already been learned by the people who've come before you. And it's about implementing more of like a franchise type model rather than a traditional, let me figure it out on my own model. And basically, that you get like a fully furnished, ready to implement kind of business in a box, something that you can implement right away and take so many of the sticking points, whether it's internal or external, out of the picture, so you can shorten the learning curve, so you can eliminate a lot of those painful, costly mistakes. Listen, I don't want you to have to file for bankruptcy to learn the business stuff that you need to learn in this game. I already did that for you, right? We'll just pretend that I put you on my documents, right? I'm filing on behalf of Sean and Sybil, but I'm also doing it for this person so they don't have to, right? Please don't fall into that same mistake-ridden path that I did and a lot of other people did too, so you can, really speed up the journey toward your success. Now, I mentioned franchises. I just want to be really clear. I don't sell franchises. I don't condone franchises. I don't have anything negative or positive to say about them, but this is just a metaphor. And here's what we know about franchises. In general, they succeed usually more than traditional, start on your own, figure it out on your own businesses, because of 2 main things. One of them is that they've got systems. These are systems that have been tested, they've been proven to work, and they've also got ongoing support. And so what I want to do on my mission is provide those 2 pieces to this coaching industry and help people follow more of a franchise type metaphor, right? To get something that's fully furnished, ready to go, in as few steps as possible, you can get going. There's something really magical about getting something in motion and something becoming real, so that you get your first video series actually up online. You start collecting names and numbers. You sell that first teleseminar series. You stand in front of that first seminar. One of the ladies that a lot of us know, she just did a seminar this past week, and she had 15 paying people there, and it was just awesome to be in front of something that's real. There's magic in that. And we have to get you in motion as quickly as possible. And we have to get you profitable as quickly as possible, so that you start to gain momentum, you start to gain traction. And I think the way most people do it in the overwhelming path is they don't get out there fast. They get out there slow, and they do the things that are not designed to get them going quickly, and they're not designed to get them profitable quickly. So that's what I want for you. And in the franchise model, basically what people are paying for, and they're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes, is certainty. That's what we need. We need certainty. So there are 3 transformations you have to make. Hopefully you can see I've been talking conceptual here, and we're going to get more detailed. There are 3 transformations you have to make if you're going to do this the right way. And the first transformation is totally counterintuitive. You've got to go from working forwards to working backwards. And I'm talking about your branding strategy, your product creation, your campaign design. What are you going to title your products? What are you going to teach? What are you going to price your products at? Like everything in this game, when you go at them forward first, when you think, okay, what's my next step? And you go forward, which is totally intuitive. And that's what you would do if you just model what's visible for people. But when you do it that way, you're actually going the wrong way. A better way to do it is work in reverse, work backwards. And I'm going to drill down on this in a few minutes. I just want to teach you these 3 transformations, and then we'll go a little bit more detail on each one of them. Another transformation, you've got to stop fighting against the things that you hate, right? Stop fighting what you loathe and start feeding what you love. Each and every one of you got into this business to do something you love. Most of you didn't get into this business to write sales copy. You didn't get into this business to do the marketing stuff. You didn't get into this business to learn how to do audios and videos and how to upload them onto the website. And that's the stuff that people hate. It's the stuff that makes people feel stupid. It's the stuff that just feeds into our limiting beliefs. And that's a huge sticking point. And that's not the only stuff, but anything that you don't love, if you're putting time and energy on it, you're creating this conflict inside. So it's about doing only what you love as much as possible. And when you feed what you love instead of fighting what you hate, the game changes. And I think most of you just want to coach and you want to speak and you want to help people. So we want to take as much of that other stuff away as possible. And then the last transformation is the do-it-yourself model versus the done-for-you model. I've already talked about that a little bit with websites and autoresponders and forums and research and checklists and all that stuff. I want to take all of that off of your hands as much as I possibly can. Now, I want to drill down with each one of these things briefly. Working forwards is the wrong way to do it. And what I want to teach you how to do is work backwards. Now, most coaches intuitively go forward. They have this next step thinking that sounds something like, what's the next product that I should make? And what should I put in that product? Who should I sell it to? How should I market it? What should I call it? How should I deliver it? What is it that I want to teach? Coming from an ego standpoint. And that is the exact opposite framework and the exact opposite energy of serving. So what you have to do instead is you have to have an end in mind thinking. You got to work backwards. I'm going to show you in a second. I want you to use an inverse funnel from the way that most of us are learning and intuitively what we would do. I want you to have an end in mind thinking. So I want you to think about, where does this perfect customer for you, where does your seeker ultimately want to be? Where do you want him or her to end up? At the end of this journey, what are the outcomes that they really want? And I want you to put her or him into the future. I want you to put your business in the future. And from that perspective, let's go backwards. What would be the step right before that end piece that they need to, take in order to be prepared to move forward, in order to be prepared to complete this program? So if we walk backwards from the end in mind, it's much easier to go, okay, if this is where I ultimately want her to be, then what's the step right before this piece? Okay, and then it's easy when you do it that way. And then if this is where I want her to be, what's the step right before that? Oh, okay, it's simple. This is what she has to know. This is what these are the seeds that have to be planted. This is the state of mind that she has to have. And we want to work all the way backwards so deep and so internal to where we figure out what are the problems inside of your seeker's head that they ultimately want to have solved. And what do they ultimately want to buy? What do they buy? What are the fears they have in the market right now? I think you should spend most of your time finding out what your ideal client wants. Most people are not spending most of their time on that. Most people are spending most of their time on anything other than that. You've got to go below ground. This is the foundational stuff. And if you don't have this foundation, like honestly, if you don't know what somebody wants, how can you market to them? How can you, create anything? How can you price something if you don't know what they usually buy and you don't know what they've bought before? How can you find where to market if you don't even know who you're marketing to and you don't know what they want? You don't know where they are. One of the things that I think happens all the time in this industry is people get stuck in this vague place of, I just want to help people, and it's important that you don't have a vague message called, I want to help people and I can help everybody, because here's the problem. You can't market to everybody. You can't talk to everybody. You can't get everybody's attention. So we have to figure out, who is it that you are uniquely qualified to teach? Who are the people that you want to help? Where are they? What do they want? We got to get inside their head. If you can get into the head of your ideal client, your business is cake from there. Your business is simple from there. And that takes some effort. That takes some research. That takes some energy. That takes some awareness. That takes some strategy. That takes end in mind thinking. But I'll tell you, if you spend your energy figuring out what do they want inside their head and you adopt their perspective as much as you can, everything is done for you from that point forward. Your marketing will create itself. Your products will title themselves. Your content will create itself. So what would you rather do? Would you rather find the stuff that your seeker is desperately foaming at the mouth to get their hands on and then just create it for them with their language, with their content? Or would you try to create something with uncertainty? You don't know what to sell it at. You don't know how to price it. You don't know how to title it. You don't know how to deliver it, and then hope that somebody will show up to buy it. That strategy, the take a stab and hope strategy, is brutal, and that's one of the most important reasons why 95% of coaches never succeed. But when you change the game and you start working backwards, I'm telling you, I'm getting so many goosebumps right now just talking about it. You can probably feel the energy in my voice. This is the thing that changes the game. It is one of the most important things that changes the game. And we have to spend energy on it. We have to spend time on it. And all your energy spent on that piece will reward you going forward. So I want to just give you an example of this. The traditional product funnel that a lot of people have. And you know what? I see a lot of hands raised, but let me just finish this, and I'm going to go to your questions and any of your hands raised. I'm going to go to all of that in the Q&A session. So let me just get through this, because I know, we've been on a little over an hour now. But as an example, most people follow this traditional product funnel, which looks like you have stuff for free. You might have an ebook or articles, or you might do videos or a special report, and then you create something that you can sell, a small dollar amount item, maybe a book or an audio CD, some kind of simple product. And then you gradually take people through more and more depth and higher dollar amounts. You have something that's $20 to $100. Then you have something that's $100 to $1,000. Then you have $1,000 to $2,000. And then you have something, more than that, $2,000 private coaching product or something like that. Here's the problem with that thinking. If you go forward like this, if you go top down from the way that it's on your screen right now, you will crush your momentum. You will crush your profits. What it takes to create, sell, and deliver a $10 product will make you go nuts. And the people that are going to buy those products are not the people that will make your life happy in the beginning anyway. So if you go forward in that direction, I can promise you, you will probably be frustrated. You will probably be disappointed, or you just might end up like I did. I did all of these things from that perspective, created all kinds of little audio programs, created teleseminar series. I had this next step thinking, but what happened was I turned around after about a year and a half, or after like 6 years actually, and I'm like, what have I done? I haven't created any kind of system. I've dropped so many crumbs on the ground, but I don't have a cake, right? So what we want to do is we want to create everything strategically from your cake first and then go backwards. Now, let me speak to this idea of fighting what you loathe a little bit instead of feeding what you love. And I'm sure I've talked about a lot of this just in my rants up until now. But, most people are miserable when it comes to marketing. And if you really get stuck on this marketing misery, you're going to kill your business, whether it's sales or writing copy or just the technology stuff that I've already alluded to. So anything that you're really plugging into that's creating misery, creating frustration, creating anxiety, creating irritation is crushing you. And when I ask coaches, what is it that you just want to have happen in your business? The most common response I get is, I just want somebody to take all this marketing stuff away from me, right? I want somebody to do this for me so that I can do what I love to do, which is teach and coach. And most of the time, up until 2 months ago, most of the time when people tell me that, I would be like, yeah, okay, I get it, but you have to learn how to market. I mean, you can't just take marketing out of this system. But I was sitting with my coach a couple months ago, and I thought, you know what? What if we could? What if we could take away everything that's possible to take away so that we could tip the scales in their favor and actually give people the implementation tools to remove anything that's a sticking point, anything that doesn't have to be uniquely written or uniquely put into the website or whatever? What if we could take away everything that's possible to take away and just get you on the path faster forward towards your purpose? So that's the mission that I'm on right now, because if you have that energetic conflict, you're going to struggle. So in reality, can we take marketing away? Of course not. But I want to take as much of it away as possible for you from this strategic, backwards, end in mind thinking approach, so that you can just figure out what your message is, figure out what you want to do, who you're going to help, and start going, like a business in a box kind of idea. That's the mission that I'm on. This last piece, I'm sure I can probably go through this pretty quickly. I've talked about it, is this, instead of do it yourself, done for you. Now, first of all, I want to be transparent with you. First of all, done for you, I don't even like that language, because most done for you language is just all BS. It's just sexy marketing language, and people like to buy stuff that's done for them. People like to buy stuff where they don't have to put any effort into it. Now, I will never tell you that you can do anything in this business or in life without effort. So this truly isn't a done for you program. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to take everything away from you that we possibly can, right? So my intention from my experience in the coaching world is create a done for you approach and implementation systems and software, as well as information, as much as we possibly can. So what's missing generally in these done for you approaches, or just in marketing in general, is this approach that I call, listen, just do this. Okay? Forget about all that stuff that you're looking at right now. Just do this. We've figured out what you have to do. We've figured out all the little pieces, where these things should go, how these should play together. People have figured that out for you. Don't worry about that stuff. Just do this with as sequential approach as possible. Step number one is listen. Why are you here? Do this exercise. When you're done with that exercise, do this exercise. I want you to put blinders on so that we truly do have a step-by-step approach, but it's just do this. And when you're done with that, then do this. And then when you're done with that, then do this. And we're going to put all of them together. We're going to give you the technology, the actual tools for you to do that stuff, so you don't have to, learn how to blog and then have to go, do a blog, set up a blog for you. Or you don't have to learn what you need on a website and then go find a web designer that will put it on a website. I'm going to give you all of that stuff, so that you have it in motion. You don't have to do any of the research, right? And here's the whole purpose of this. I am operating on the 3 most important concepts for your business growth, and they all start with the letter I. So here are the 3 I's. This is where you should take notes. These are the 3 I's, right? The first one, it's been the theme of the whole program, is implementation. If you don't implement what you learn, then what you learned is useless. The second one is implementation. See, if you don't implement what you've learned, then what you've learned is useless. And the third one is implementation. Because here's what I've learned. If you don't implement what you've learned, then what you've learned is useless. You can have the most amazing information on the planet. Once you consume the information, it self-destructs. It is no longer valuable to you until and unless you take the information and put it into motion. So this is all about implementation, right? And just as a quick recap, the 3 transformations is going from working forwards to working backwards, fighting what you loathe to feeding what you love, and this do-it-yourself approach to a done-for-you approach. Now, let me give you some details on this mission that I have. And if any of, for any of you, if this resonates with you, then I'm going to invite you to start playing a bigger game and join me on this mission that I have. And I've just simply called it the Full-Time Coach Project. And that's a working title, and we might, make it a little sexier later on. But for now, this is a full-time coaching project. And what I want to do is create and basically pull together all of this stuff that I've been talking about into a system you can implement from the word go, whether you're starting out right now or you've got a lot of these things already in motion and you just need to figure out what practices are best. You can make a few little changes in your website and just go. But I want you to have something that is more along the lines of a franchisable metaphor. It's already been figured out. These systems work. Please just do this. And when you do this and you get in motion and you start having reality, you start getting that magical feeling of seeing yourself online, collecting a community, delivering your products, creating that stuff. Once you start building it and it becomes real to you, and you get that first coaching client that's going to pay you something with a comma in it so that you can help him or her go on whatever journey they're going on, that's when you're going to have a smile on your face that won't come off. And you're probably not going to sleep very well that night. And that's when the game changes. If we can't get you to that point, then everything is stacked against you. Now, what makes this a little bit different than some of the other programs, and I'm not talking bad about any other programs, but this is what I think makes what we're doing here and what this mission that I'm on is a little bit unique, is first of all, this is an extension of the work that all of you are intimately engaged in, which is Jack Canfield's work. That man is the only constant that I've ever had in my life on this self-development, personal growth journey. He's the only constant. He was the very first one that taught me about this deep inner work, and I've been with him ever since. I go to 5 or 6 of his events every single year, and I am as much as possible like a reincarnation of Jack's work, because I cut my teeth in his seminar and I've grown up by his side. He has been the biggest influence of me. I think he's the most profound trainer out there. I think it's a tragedy that everybody on the planet is not intimately involved in his work, and everything that I do is an extension of Jack's work. It's from a heart space, it's from this gentle place, it's from an authentic, transparent place, and I've gotten all of that from Jack. And the other thing, and this is what I'm really excited about, is if you want to go on this journey with me, you're going to help me co-create it. I need people who are implementing stuff, who are going to come back to me that says, you know what, this doesn't work, or can you build this, or this is what I'm struggling with. I want help in co-creating this, and I want you to help me co-create it. I want to create a small group of people who are in Jack Canfield's crowd, in his community, that help me build a heart-centered, service-based, transparent, authentic coaching program that will change the industry. That's my goal. And again, when I say it out loud, it makes me kind of shiver a little bit, but that's what I'm about. And the other thing is, this is just for coaches. I mentioned this earlier. This isn't where you've got to do any kind of translation of take internet marketing stuff and then translate it into coaching stuff. Just for coaches. I've spent a lot of time talking about this is just do this sequential approach, and it's got to be simple. I'm going to give video tutorials that says, just do this. I'm going to have screen capture videos that says, this is how you create an autoresponder. This is how you put up a video. Get this camera, and this is what you need to do. My intention is to have, like I said, the most comprehensive, as much done for you as possible, simple approach that's layered strategically from the ground up. You guys, I've been there. I know what it's like to be a coach from the beginning. I know what it's like to just be out there trying to get your message into the world. I know what's necessary to get going that works, and I know what's absolutely terrible if you do it this way. Like, this just won't work. I told you about my experience on that. And it's got to be layered strategically from the ground up, but it's also got to have this end in mind thinking, right? So that's what we want to bring to the industry. And most of my resources, most of my money that I invest into this, most of my time, most of my energy, most of my deliverability is going to be on implementation. Because if you can't implement, then what you've learned is useless. So I don't care that people buy my program. I care that people implement, that people get to that magic place of it being real for them, that they get their first client, they sell their first thing, and they get going and they turn the corner and they take off. That's what I care about. And I know the only way that can happen is if you have ongoing support. So that's where my heart is. That's where my intention is. And I'm going to invite you to play with us at the full-time coaching project. Now, if you're in front of your computer, you can go to this website. Oh, this looks like it's clickable for me. Let's see what happens if I click on it. Fantastic. It takes me there. Now, this isn't like a very fancy website, but it was easier to just put it on a web page that I can scroll down instead of putting it on a slide. So the full-time coaching project, here's what we're talking about. There's basically 3 modules. I want to keep it as simple as possible. The first module is all the foundational stuff, right? Foundation first. This is where you get marketable. Remember, if you don't know what you're selling, if you don't know who you're selling it to, if you don't have a program, you don't have anything to market. So before we start marketing, we have to make sure that you're marketable. We have to make sure that you have a magnetic message. We have to make sure that people want what you have. And so this first part is the foundational pieces of designing this program. And there's 5 main things that we're going to dive deep into, right? It's what's your mission? What's your message? Who's your seeker? What's your system of solutions? And then we can design your program. The people that are with me on this journey right now, I've got a small group of coaches that are on this journey, and we meet one-on-one. We just were in Scottsdale. They'll tell you, we spend hours on researching our seeker, designing the system of solutions, clarifying your message. And finally, when you get something that's magnetic, that's marketable, that we can do something with, then it's time to go, right? And then it's time to design your program and start building a platform, start creating a presence. And that's where we get you online. You've got to get visible. That's where we, give you these websites, and there's got to be an intention to these websites. There's got to be a specific flow to them. You've got to have end in mind thinking. It's not important to just get a website up. We got to know when somebody gets here, where do we want them to go? Ultimately, what do we want them to do? Do we want them to sign up for a free coaching consultation? And if you do, then that website has to be designed differently than if you want to sell them a product, or if you want to get them on your blog and get them to, do your RSS feeds. All of this stuff has been figured out. We're just going to deliver it to you in something that's ready to go. We're going to talk about squeeze pages, which has a totally different energy and a different perspective and a different intention than your main website, right? And once you start getting the squeeze pages, you got to really understand campaigns, and you got to understand email marketing, and you've got to understand positioning, and you've got to understand autoresponders and all that stuff. But here's the thing, like, I'm going to give all of that to you. Instead of teaching you, this is how you write an autoresponder and this is what you should say, I'm going to have an autoresponder already written for you so that it's loaded into the system, and all you've got to do is go in and edit it. And my experience is when something's ready to go and you just have to edit it and then push, play, it's much easier than to learn what to do and then go figure out how to do it. So that's my intention with all this stuff, all the technology things, the shopping carts, the product creation, the lighting, the microphones, all of that stuff. I want to give to you with as much of it lined up, like the dominoes are in a line right now, ready to go. You just got to flick the first one. You got to get going in motion, and it's all strung together as much as possible. And this will change the game. And then once we get to that point, once we've got a platform, once we've got some presence for you, now we start to put the pedal to the metal. Now we start to push go. Until you have a presence, until you've got the systems all designed and lined together, you should not be doing affiliate marketing. You should not be doing joint ventures. You should not be doing video series and launches. You should not be doing the stuff that's visible, because you're not ready for that. You don't have the back end to deliver, and you also don't have the back end to maximize those campaigns. Even if you got them in motion, if you don't maximize them, it's more dangerous than if you didn't do it and you just waited a few months until you're ready to push go and really take off. So those are some of the biggest mistakes that I've made, is going out and doing things that I wasn't ready to do, and actually created irritation, and you don't get a second chance to make a first impression and all those kinds of things. So it's at that point that we're really going to start talking about sales and creating your signature speech and telling your story and positioning yourself distinctly in your marketplace. Why should people come to you? Why should they listen to you? How can you connect with people at a deeper level, right? We're going to talk about speaking skills from the stage on teleseminars. We're going to teach about how to design your presentations. Like, at that point is when we take something and we're ready to start going fast. And this is the scalable phase. I talked about scalable in the beginning. Until you have those first two modules nailed, solid, you are not a scalable business. But as soon as you do, now you're scalable. Now we can go. Now we have something that you can start putting on autopilot, that you can start doing better research for, that you can start, creating better systems around. You can start perfecting all the tools and techniques. But until you have those pieces, all of this is like wasted energy, and it's actually dangerous. And we're also going to talk about offline promoting, networking, speaking locally, what you should do with promotional products. We're going to talk about social media promotions, talk about a lot of the online marketing stuff, article marketing, audios, videos, paid advertising, Google, Facebook, all that stuff. But most of that, it doesn't matter until you have this foundational stuff ready yet. Okay. Now, this package, once it's all done, I can promise you it'll sell for at least $2,000. I mean, I could honestly see, once we get this up and going, I mean, I could see us selling it for a lot more than $2,000. But here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for founding members, right? I want to go arm in arm with you. I want you to help me create this thing, help me test this thing. I want you to give me feedback, and I want you to help me build the best thing out there, so that in 6 months from now or a year from now, we're ready to open the doors, floodgates, wide open, and it's time to go. And we create that tsunami of change. And so what I'm looking for are founding members. And in order to kind of like give and take relationship here, I'm going to give you some bonuses that are only going to be good for founding members. And I'm going to be collecting founding members for just a few months. I don't know how many, I don't know how long, but I know it's just going to be a few months. And I would prefer most of the founding members, if not all the founding members, to be Jack Canfield alumni, Jack Canfield current participants or graduates. So as a founding member, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get 12 full months of my monthly coaching community of awesomeness. I have no idea what I'm going to call this thing. It's not ready to go yet, but it's going to be monthly marketing support advice. You're going to be getting CDs. You're going to be getting projects. You're going to be getting laser coaching calls where I'll be on the phone live and answer questions. You're going to be getting tremendous value in this monthly ongoing coaching community. I'll give you 12 full months of that for free. We're going to sell it at least $97. If we ever sell it for more than that, you'll always get premium access as a founding member. So if we create a system that's $200, $300, $500 a month, you'll get premium access for that, for those first 12 months that you're, as a not a bonus. I don't want to say that, but just, I don't know, as a founding member. For whatever reason, I'm losing the word here. You're also going to get 12 full months of my current monthly coaching program. It's called the Eagles Club. I deal with all kinds of things like controlling your emotions, limiting beliefs, sales stuff. It's for entrepreneurs. And you're going to get 12 full months of that for free. And you can use that as a model. You can model some of the stuff that I do, how I sell, how I present, how we deliver. You can use it as a model, but you can absolutely implement it in your own life too, because it's these kinds of things that stop most people, right? So you're going to get access to that. You're going to get lifetime access to all upgrades that I ever do for this product. As we roll out 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, you're going to get all of those for free. You're going to get all of my personal development products and all of my events for 2 years for free. I want to set you up to succeed as much as I possibly can. I want to tip the scales in your favor as much as possible. So I want to give you the farm. I want to give you everything I possibly can. And I want you to have early announcements on all programs and products going forward for the coaching community. And I just want to create something that will truly make a tsunami-like effect on this coaching world. It's fully guaranteed. If you choose to play with us and you're not satisfied 100% for any reason whatsoever, then we're going to refund your money and I'll give you $100 on top of it. So this is called either you make money or you make money guaranteed. If you go through this and you don't make money and you're not satisfied with the delivery, with the customer service, with anything at all, then you get all your money back and we'll give you an extra $100. And for founding members, we're cutting that price in half. So you can get in for either one time for $9.97, or there's a payment plan of 3 payments of $3.97. And that's my call to action for any of you that want to play this game. Now, if you don't want to play this game, it's not resonating with you, you already have the support that you really want to, awesome. I appreciate you paying attention tonight. Let me get back to my webinar here. I don't know where my webinar went. I'll find it here in a second. So this is really weird because it's not in my doc either. Wow. Okay. So if any of you, if this isn't resonating with you for whatever reason, then I hope I've served you somehow. I hope I've given you something that you can implement, some shifts in your mindset, something that can change the game for you and really play at a high level. So anyway, here you go. Let me see. Is that my webinar? That's not my webinar. That's not my webinar. This is really strange. Okay, so here's a learning curve that when you click on your coaching webinar, and then I guess if you click on something outside of it, it goes away. But I found it. All right. So I think I've already gone through all this stuff. You're going to get the discount. You're going to well, here's what we're asking you to do. So in exchange for the discount, in exchange for all those bonuses, I want you to implement. I want you to share your success story. I want you to give me feedback on what works. I want you to tell me what's going to work better. And after you've made your first $50,000, here's what I'm asking you to do. I want you to donate at least 2% of your earnings from that point forward to some worthy cause, because I want to build a community that's not only making things happen and has a ton of success stories, but I want to build a community that gives back. I want to have a bunch of people that are standing arm in arm, supporting each other, creating the change in the world that we all want to see, and giving back whatever that looks like to you. So that's what I'm building. You're going to get the full month, like I said, lifetime access, all my products and programs for free, the announcement, the guarantee I talked about. Fast action bonuses. Here's what I'm going to do. So for the first 7 founding members, what I've done is I've created a space in my schedule where I'm going to personally and privately coach people on a monthly basis, one-on-one, with me personally, not with any of my other coaches, to help you implement even more. And sometimes we need a little bit of that one-on-one perspective. So if you have any more questions or whatever, or it's just like more time to keep going, to drill deep, to create more accountability or whatever, I want to be there for you. So for the first 7 members, founding members that go on this journey with us, you're going to get private coaching monthly, 30 minutes for the first, I don't have how long here, for the first 6 months. How about that? For the first 6 months. And you know what? I don't even know what that would end up being. 6 months, half hour. I don't know. That would end up being like probably $1,200 or $1,500 or something like that if we were to just charge you what my hourly rate is. But that's what I'm all about. So this is the project that I'm inviting you to play in. I told you before that I'm on a mission to create 1,000 full-time. Well, now it's only $999 because Alyssa says she's one of them. 999 more full-time, highly successful coaches who are fulfilling their purpose by bringing their message into the world. Now, if this is not for you, awesome. For those of you that'll be in Orange County in a couple of days, if there's anything else I can help you do, fantastic. For anybody else, if there's anything else I can help you do, let me know. Send me an email. If it's not for you, I hope this information has served you in some way. I hope my journey through bankruptcy, through our business tanking, through all the stuff that I've learned has benefited you or can benefit you in some way. And if this isn't resonating with you or I'm not resonating with you, please get help. However you can, please get help. But if this is resonating with you and you want to be a part of that mission that I talked about, and you want to be one of those people on the front line of this charge, if this is for you, then let's go. I can't say it any better than that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start this thing. All right, so I'm gonna go to Q&A now. Man, I've gone through all my water that I have here at my little station. I've talked my throat into like utter dryness. But I told you I would tell you how to get a free recording and a list of those resources. What I want you to do, honestly, this is the first webinar that I've done, so I don't know exactly how the technology works. I think if you've attended the webinar, then you're going to get an email that has a link to the recording. I'm not positive that that will happen. If it doesn't happen, shoot me an email and I'll send you over the attachment of that resource checklist. And I'll send you a link to get the recording, whether it's a webinar recording, video, or an MP3. I'll send you as much as I possibly can. I just don't know exactly how to automate that at this point, so please bear with me and forgive me for that. And let's go. So if you're as fired up as I am right now, then I can't wait. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. So what I'm going to do now is open up the lines for Q&A. Let's see if I know how to do this. All right. Let's see here. Let's take. Let me see if I can open this. Oh man. So I don't even really know how to do some of this stuff, you guys. All right, well, I see questions. So you know what I'm probably just going to have to do is I am probably just going to have to call on you by name. So this is really strange. And this happens all the time with technology where, you go through a rundown and it works, and then you do it live and it doesn't work. So let's see. Okay. Oh, wait, I figured it out. Hang on. Oh, that didn't help. Dang it. All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out like how I can see your actual questions. Oh, here we go. Got it. Okay. I don't know when these were asked. Alyssa says, how do you suggest coaches coaching coaches provide ongoing support for the following? You know what? I probably messed up, Alyssa, because that probably had some context to it. And I don't know what the context is. So I am so sorry for the following. I'm going to open up the lines here in a second. I'll answer any of these that I can answer on my own without opening up the lines. Are you available early Wednesday morning for a meeting? You know what? I'm not available early Wednesday morning because that's the setup day, I believe. But any of you that want to get into the founding members and you're in the Train the Trainer program right now, then I want to meet with you. I want to have a mastermind absolutely with you and maybe do some one-on-one time, but definitely as a group this week in Train the Trainer. So any of the founding members, we're definitely going to get together. And Alyssa, we'll see if we can figure out a way to create some one-on-one time as well. And she says, just $1,000 to be a founding member. Yes. Do you need a credit card payment or can you do a check? Yeah, I guess you can do a check. Just since you're going to be with us, just bring your check and we can do that there. Let's see. Jackie says, how do your current 2012 group coaching members fit into the founding members? Sorry, Jackie, you guys acted too early before I had this founding member idea. So no, of course, I'm totally kidding. You are absolutely founding members. And of course you get all of this, all this technology. You don't have to pay any more. This is all totally included with the mastermind that you guys are already in. So yeah. Oh, and thanks for reminding me. We do have a call tomorrow. Holy cow. I'm glad you reminded me of that. So yeah, you don't have to do anything more of that. A question, Donna says, is this learning online or a seminar? Oh, great. I probably got too excited and didn't even explain that. Yeah, it's going to be mostly video tutorials online. There's going to be a teleseminar type ongoing like laser coaching sessions where I will be there live and answer questions for you so I can help you implement. Obviously for the first founding 7 founding members, there's going to be the private one-on-one. There's going to be technology. Now, I have to be upfront. The technology is not ready to deliver to you right now immediately. So that technology is being built. The technology should be up and running very soon. and once it's ready, it's yours, and you're going to implement it. We've got to have early adopters that are willing to get it in motion and start collecting names and start putting stuff up so they can tell me what the feedback is and so forth. But most of the training, most of the implementation stuff is online video tutorials. Some of these videos might be a couple minutes and it says, this is how you set up an autoresponder. Some of the videos might be more 15, 20 minutes long that says, this is how you get clarity on who your seeker is, and download this form and start doing these, interviews so that you can get inside their head. So it's going to be varying amounts of time, and it's going to be varied deliverability. And some of that, like I said, is going to be created by you guys, right? Like if something's not working or something is going to work better, then you tell us and we'll create it for you. So, okay, sorry, Holly. Holly says, what's the website again? Let me see if I can go back to it on this screen. The website is coachingandmarketingmastery.com/FTC. Let me see if I can do something really cool. Let me see if I can send it to all of you right now in the chat. coachingandmarketingmastery.com/FTC. So if you have your chat window open, I just sent you a link that you can go to the website. Sorry about that. Jackie says, this is good stuff. Yeah, that became one of the themes of our Scottsdale stuff. Okay, so okay, great. Thanks, Alyssa. And finally, all right, let's go. So I'm going to open up the lines to Q&A. And what I'm going to do is go to anybody that has their hand raised, because I can unmute you individually. So if you have a question, raise your hand. If I open up all the lines, we're going to get a lot of feedback and a lot of echoes that we had in the very beginning. That's what Alyssa reminded me of just now. So instead of doing that, I'm going to unmute each one of you individually if you have a question. So what you've got to do is raise your hand if you have a question, and I will call on you. Okay, cool. So Alyssa, you are now unmuted, so you should be good to go.
Hey, Sean, thanks so much. I got a ton of stuff out of this webinar. So, my
Awesome.
question about the providing coaches, or coaches coaching coaches, rather.
Coaches coaching
Um,
coaches, yeah.
how do you suggest that coaches who are looking to provide ongoing support for other coaches do that for their following of coaches? So, if I'm a coach and
Yeah,
I'm
tell me
looking
more
to,
about that. Are you
so
referring to something specific that I've talked about, or this like separate from any of the content?
no, it goes back to your theory about the franchise model.
Yes.
And has to say, there are two things that a franchise model does for someone in terms of business, and
Got
there's
it.
the support piece and something else. And I'm sorry, but system and ongoing support, right?
Systems
So
and
the
ongoing
system
support.
is
Yeah,
all this information that we're going to be able to, give to the other coaches that we're coaching.
yeah.
So I'm already creating that kind of a following. The
You're
big
out there
piece for me
coaching
is
coaches now?
yes.
Awesome. God, I can't wait to talk to you more.
Thank you. It's a passion, man. Tap into it and it just
Yeah, it
goes. I don't
is.
know.
That's right.
So the ongoing support piece is something I've struggled with for a long time. Skinning my knees and other franchise opportunities, they're falling short on the ongoing support. I don't want
Hmm.
to do that. So I
Yep.
guess the question is, what's the mentality or the resources you start with to keep providing that ongoing support so that everybody can start and have an explosive beginning, but
Yep.
it's that ongoing support and time tested, real value continuation that really makes or breaks your value going forward. So
Totally.
just your thoughts there is what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
you know what? I would just go back to what we were talking about. Go backwards. Find out what your people are missing. I mean, I think you can probably tell I'm pretty passionate about this right now. If we'd have talked 2 years ago, I wouldn't have any level of passion or desire or any of this stuff, but I've just been talking to people and asking them where they are skinning their knees, asking them what's missing in their programs, what's missing in the implementation piece, just what's missing. And this whole program, Alyssa, has been built over the last year and a half by people who I'm trying to help. Like they've told me, if I would have designed a program like a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have had 90% of this stuff. Number one, because a lot of it's not out there, or at least wasn't out there when I was going through it, and so I didn't consume anything like this. So if I would have decided, hey, I want to build a program that helps coaches, I wouldn't have known, what the market needed. I would have had my perspective, which is 6 years old in the game, and I would have lost the perspective of the person that I'm actually trying to help. And that's one of the key pieces here is we have to remember the perspective of the people we're trying to help and not try to sell and not try to create coaching programs and not try to do anything in our business from our perspective, because our perspective isn't relevant anymore to them that we're trying to help. So I would say go to your people that you're trying to help and ask them what's missing in your program. Ask them what's missing in other people's programs. And that is so much easier. But I think what you'll find, especially since we have, a lot of the same market, I think what you'll find is, a lot of it is you're going to find out a lot of the information that I've found out over the last year and a half. And so you and I can continue to trade stories, and I mean, you can just model any of the stuff that I do and take what works and leave what doesn't and build something better, um, because our mission is very similar and our crowds are very similar.
Thank you. Thanks a million.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to see you in a couple days.
Ditto.
Awesome. Okay, so next question is from Donna Dolly. You are now live on the air with WFTC, full-time coach. Donna, can you hear me? It looks like you're unmuted on my end, but I can't hear you if you're still on and you are talking. I don't know if you have to unmute your lines at all.
Oh, yeah, I did. I had
Oh,
to
cool. There
unmute.
you are. Hey, Donna.
Yeah. So I signed up already, so I'm looking forward to that one-on-one stuff.
Awesome. Welcome.
Quite I guess my first question is, when is this going to start?
Really soon. You're going to get a lot of the stuff that's ready to go now.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a lot of certainly all of my products that I have. You're going to get a lot of the inner game stuff, which would be really good, place to start, because that's what really holds most of us back. Anyway, excuse me. I just I just sucked down a lemon because I'm out of water and it didn't go down well. So you're going to get a lot of that stuff right away. And I'm going to be dripping out a lot of the video tutorials, and I'll probably be sharing with you some of the stuff that I already have ready to go in the next week or two. Honestly, transparently, I don't have a lot of the way that I want to deliver it. I don't have that ready to go, and I'm leaving in 2 days to train the trainer. So you'll get a lot of the coaching stuff from me in the weeks to come. But I'm going to start dripping a lot of these things out, and I'm going to layer them as much as I can strategically with this just do this approach, and not overwhelm you with a lot of stuff that you just is too much to handle all at once, right? And one of the things that I want you to do, and all of you founding members, is I want you to tell me when you can get more, like, hey, give us more, because I've already consumed that. It only took me a little bit of time, and so I'm ready for the next piece. Or if I'm dripping them out too much, releasing them too often, and you're getting behind and overwhelmed, then I want you to tell me all that stuff too. So you're going to get some stuff right away, and the coaching stuff is going to start getting dripped out to you probably in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was going to call you anyway because I'm running into brick walls everywhere. My website, that whole thing has just been a disaster. So.
Oh, it's a nightmare for most people.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for some help for sure. So,
awesome.
Great.
Well, so cool,
Good.
Donna. I'm really happy to have you as a founding member, and we'll get it going.
All right.
Cool. Okay, let's see who's next. Let's see. I had Donna up again. Whoops. Sorry about that. New technology. Oh, I can't wait to teach you guys this webinar stuff because holy cow, have there been some things that, oh, would have just been a disaster if I didn't know. I was on the phone with my coach today just saying, hey, man, what do I need to know about webinars? And he's like, don't do this. Don't do this. If you do this, nothing on your screen will show. If you don't do that, you're going to get this the whole time. It's going to be ruined. I mean, he just saved me so much today. So I can't wait to teach you stuff like that. Donna Hoffman, you're our next contestant on Project Full-Time Coach.
Can you hear me, Sean?
I can hear you, and you are just so awesome.
Well, I learned it all from you. Sean, quick question. So as you know, I just started my own coaching program.
I know, I'm so happy.
As you know, I'm frustrated, like you had mentioned.
I know, I'm not happy about that.
I'm not happy about that. So are you saying then that with this program then, we'd all be getting up and running and ready to go? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely. It is all about implementation, implementation, implementation.
Okay, so we'd have all the tools to get online, to get just ready to go. That's exactly what you're saying, right?
Yep. And if you don't, here's what it looks like. You send me an email that says, hey, I don't understand how to do this. And I will do a video on it, or I'll talk to you personally, or we'll answer it on the phone, or I'll find somebody that can answer that question if it's not anything that I know. I mean, like, that's my level of commitment. And that might take a year to answer all those questions and to do all the feedback and get all the, just the kinks out of it and stuff like that. But that is absolutely my promise to you.
Okay. Well, count me as a founding member.
Let's do it. Let's go. And yeah, and I don't want it to sound like I don't know a lot of that stuff right now anyway. So as much as I just said, hey, you just tell me and I'll go get it for you. I mean, I could probably drip out a video every week for the next year with simple, implementable, some small things that are just like a link in the big chain of confusion that's going to clear a lot of stuff away. Some of it's much deeper, more information, conceptual learning, and some of it's just more technology learning. But yeah, I mean, we're going to go now, and my intention, Donna, is to teach you, especially over the next couple months, how to be online, how to be starting to get people to join your community, I just thought in the last couple of days, I want you guys to have a product, something that you can sell, something you can feel good about, something that you can create a platform of expertise around, like now. I mean, not literally now, tomorrow, because most of us are not ready for that because we have to do some of the foundational work first. But like in a couple months at the latest, I want to teach you how to do all that stuff, have that going, and get you in motion. And I'm telling you, there's just something so magical. I mentioned it several times tonight. There's something so magical about turning that corner and having something real, having that first person join your program, having the first person pay you to coach them, having that first product. When you get that first product in your hands, if you don't have a product yet, no matter what it is, and I could teach you how to have a CD product in your hands tomorrow. Like if I wanted to have a new product tomorrow, I could have it later tonight because I've done it long enough and it would be easy. But I could teach you how to have a new product like in your hands tomorrow. And there's something so magical when you just give birth to one of your creations, this audio, this little information child, right? And it's just powerful and awesome. And that's what I want to get you to, and just evolve from there.
Okay. And Sean, when does it start? I misunderstood.
Yeah, we're gonna start delivering some of this stuff in the next couple weeks. I don't have a definite date. Like I said, I'm gonna be out of town over the next like 7 days to get into Train the Trainer. I'll be doing a lot of market research there as well and talking with some of the founding members that are going to be there. And I'll start dripping content out 3 weeks tops, but my intention is to, in 2 weeks, start having this system going for you.
So do we sign up now then?
Yeah, because you want to be one of those first 7 people.
Okay.
I think we're about halfway full right now, but be one of those first 7 people so we can definitely have that one-on-one time as well. And we can do that like right away.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Awesome. I can't wait, Donna, to just, re-engage with you. And I just think the world of you.
Same here, Sean. You know that.
Excellent. And I think we're getting a little bit of feedback. So I'm going to mute you out, Donna, and see if that
Okay.
feedback goes away. Okay, yeah. Earlier when we had that little robotic sound, it just went away um, when people or when I muted everybody. So I don't have any more questions. If there's anything else from any of you, yeah, it looks like we've got some people coming in that are founding members already. We're like over, I think about over half full on that. So if it's resonating with you, let's go. Let you know. And I mean, I think you feel my energy, you feel my passion, and I am fully 100% committed, like I've never been committed to anything before, to changing this game, because there's a problem when great people with fantastic skills and amazing talent can't put it together. And and maybe I'm just one of the lucky ones. Maybe I just tripped and fell into this world of Mary Kay and learned a lot of these things along the way. And a lot of my journey may have been luck, and um I'm not above admitting that. But I also got in motion, and I learned so much along the way, and there's nothing that I learned more than during 2008 and 2009 that that culminated with my bankruptcy. And and once upon a time, I there was a lot of ego around me not sharing that with people. But you know what? That's what makes me able to help you more, is what happened during that tailspin. That's where I skinned my knees. That's where I got all the bumps and bruises and scrapes. And that's where I learned, what it really takes to do this the right way. And I learned that I had been doing a lot of stuff the wrong way. And I had built a very, very big building. But when the wind changed and that, foundation that wasn't there couldn't hold that, 7-story building, that $300,000 building that we built in 2007, that crash was freaking painful. That crash sucked. And if there's nothing else that any of that taught me, then helping one of you be able to avoid that, then it was all worth it. I'll tell you that. And so I've licked my wounds and they've healed, and I've come back with a vengeance, and I've come back with a purpose that's deeper than it ever was, with heels dug in the sand, and I'm ready to charge. I'm ready to go. And like I said earlier, if that's you, if you want to be on that game, if you want to be on that front line with us, and you want to be arm in arm, then let's go. And I'm going to do everything I possibly can to lead the charge with you, to be in the trenches with you, to spend all of my time and energy on implementation, not on selling people the program, because that doesn't matter. That's not what gives me any level of fulfillment. Seeing dollar amounts come in through my email system, I don't care about that. What gives me fulfillment is people that get out there and get their message in motion, and how they light up when it becomes that magical real baby that they've put into the world. And so if I can help you do that on any level, whether you're a part of this program or not, then let's go for it. So with that, everybody, I know, most of you have been on the line for 2 hours, and I honor you for that. We're on a Memorial Day weekend. Some of you are out on the East Coast or some other country even, and it's even later than it is out here on the Pacific time zone at 7 o'clock. So I honor you for showing up. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. If it's calling to you, then go for it. If there's a piece that's resonating in your heart, then let's lock arms. Join us. Be one of our founding members. If you're one of the first 7, you'll get that extra added bonus of one-on-one coaching with me, so I can help you implement quicker and even less painful. So with that, everybody, good night. I appreciate you, and let's go change the world and start that tsunami of empowerment. Take care, everybody.